Now, dear friends, I'm having myself a good strong coffee and a cigar. Beautiful. So, I was reading about the problems that farmers have, for example, in the United States, with tractors, specifically John Deere, and how it's made very difficult for farmers themselves to work on the tractor, fix broken things, and find out how to fix the problems, do some error searching and stuff like that. And I took a deep dive into stuff also with passenger cars. And what I found was that it seems that there are a lot of problems with the modern smartphone with four wheels. And it's not to say that everything is bad, but I think a lot of people underestimate the information that the car is logging, difficulties it presents to mechanics who are independent, and how the information that the car is logging is actually sold, and what information the car is logging. Because I even read, and it's difficult to know whether everything is correct, but I'm just stating what I read, that even stuff like sexuality, sexual preferences, and things of that nature do get sold to companies, so they have more information on you. Could also be how you drive, how many hard brakes you make, are you speeding somewhere, and this information may help insurance companies argue on raising your insurance policy, or the price you pay for that. And it's also very difficult for independent mechanics to fix problems, because they are subject to the big companies, and if they want to lend, for example, some software to these independent mechanics, or let them pay at least for it, or even maybe buy some software that can spot errors and solve problems. And that seems to be very hard for a lot of independent mechanics. So for small communities, it's not very good. And that brings me to the Jimny, or in reality any other quite not primitive but simple utility vehicle. Because I think it's up to us consumers to demand simpler stuff, and things that are, for example, not logging, whether we kiss our wife or boyfriend or whatever in the car or not. I don't think that is something that people usually tend to think is an okay information to log just because you bought a car. And I'm also wondering what the consequences will be over time. For example, let's say you have some software update you need. What if it's actually a very important update, and the company suddenly wants to charge you for that? Could be a difficult problem, or more important update that really affects the daily driving. And would you then say, no, well, I got this car, it's like $50,000 or whatever, but the $100 I need to spend on this update or this fix because the car is like 5 years old or anything like that, well, you'll probably say, okay, then I'll pay the $100. I don't quite worry about that, because to me freedom and autonomy need to be hand in hand. So you could have like hundreds of cars to choose from. But if all the cars were cars that logged everything you do, told companies where you drive, how you drive, who's in the car. I mean, you have the freedom to pick a lot of different cars, but you don't really have autonomy. And that's, for me at least, quite a consideration when buying a car. I like to go off-road. I like to have a dependent car with no turbo, just a plain, simple car. So that's why I have the Suzuki Jimny. But even if I wanted something more fancy, I think I would steer very much clear from cars where I, at least in my research, have been reading that they log all kinds of information and make it much more difficult for independent mechanics to fix them. Because I want the friendship or professional friendship or whatever you like to call it with a good mechanic who I know I can trust. I know my bills are not unexpectedly high or anything like that, and I think people need that form of community. I don't want to buy the bread in a big supermarket. I would rather buy it from a small baker whom I know by name and who I can recognize the face of. And of course it can't be like that with everything, but I mean, small independent mechanics, they're very important for community, for fixing stuff quickly, rather than you relying on some weird big entity, transnational corporation that might or might not help you. Maybe I'm just blabbering, but I think it's a very important topic, and I was on a hike earlier today, and I was really thinking about the part of freedom and autonomy, and what the cars log, and how and what future will bring if we don't put a foot down and say, well, is this really the way we want to drive, so to speak, and want to go? Well, let me know what you think. I'll smoke the rest of the cigar and drink my coffee and leave you for now. But thank you so much for watching. See you